This video covers the nomenclature rules for naming acyl halides. We'll begin by looking at how to name open chain acyl halides. Those are acyl halides that are on a chain rather than attached to a ring. An acyl halide has the basic structure of a carbonyl with a halogen attached on one side and a carbon attached on the other side. To name acyl halides, we need to identify the longest carbon chain, which includes the carbonyl carbon of the acyl halide. In this case, the longest chain is a 5-carbon chain, with the acyl halide carbon being the first of those carbons of the chain. To name it, we think back to the alkane name for a 5-carbon chain, pentane. We will drop the final E on that pentane name and replace it with oil halide, whatever the halogen is that is attached to the carbonyl carbon of the acyl halide. In this example, there's a chloride attached to the carbonyl carbon of the acyl halide, so we refer to this as an oil chloride or pentanoyl chloride. Although we don't need to provide a number for the position of the acyl halide, we would number the parent chain starting at the acyl halide as carbon number 1 because it's the highest priority group in this molecule. If additional substituents are added, those substituents also need to be included in the name. In this case, there's an additional methyl that appears at position 4. That methyl is named as a prefix out front of pentanoyl. Instead of a chlorine on this acyl halide, there's a bromine, so the ending is bromide rather than chloride. Now that we've gone over a couple of examples of naming acyl halides on open chains, try to name this acyl halide shown here, where the acyl halide is on this end of the molecule. When you think you've come up with a name, resume playing the video to view the solution. This particular acyl halide is on a parent chain that is 8 carbons in length. Although there is a longer chain within the molecule, that chain is not used as the parent because it doesn't include the carbonyl carbon of the acyl halide within that chain. So we choose the longest carbon chain with the acyl halide carbon attached as part of that chain. So this chain is 8 carbons in length. It has 2 substituents in addition to the acyl halide. It has an isopropyl group at position 2 and a chloro group at position 7. Those are named as prefixes and they are alphabetized by the C and the I. The parent octane name is modified by dropping the E and adding oil iodide because there's an iodine attached to the acyl halide carbon. When naming acyl halides that are attached to a ring, as shown in this case, the terminal E of the parent name is retained. In this case, the parent name is cyclohexane. And notice that E is retained. After the E of cyclohexane, or whatever the parent is, the term carbonyl halide is added. In this case, it's a chloride, so we add carbonyl chloride to it. And then any substituent attached to the ring would be placed out front of that name. The highest priority group on this molecule is the acyl halide, so we count from it in the direction that gets us the lowest number for the methyl. It sits at position 3. The 2 substituents on the cyclohexane ring are pointing in the same direction, so the stereochemical term cis is placed before the rest of the name.